All right, so just want to show you my current progress on this. Go ahead and open up the game here. A little phlegmy today. Oh, hi. So last time on this episode of I was digging around trying to stop that. I was digging around trying to figure out what was going on with what I had written previously, and I found a couple oddities. Jump into here. So let's see what I got. So I rebuilt this level. I did lower these. I think I lowered this last time, and this is working now. On the far left, you can see the countdown timer, the way that I have it hooked up. The timing of these is correct now. That's all correct. I'll swap that one. So this is an intro level, so I want it to be pretty simple for people to figure out, but I don't want to tell people exactly what they have to do to figure things out. And you can see there that fire that opened the gate. The level would end here. There's a error check there that says, hey, the level should end here. I didn't build that part yet. That's why the error check is there. But I noticed some weird stuff. So like, um, if I go to cinematics and I go to load, level one, you can see how this is. It's this camera from this position, and if I run it, it just kind of moves to there. This is um, 3.5 seconds long. And it talks to gate one, gate two, and then the gate plane. But if I go into, this is a weird thing that I noticed, and it's kind of inconsistent. But when I go into level two, which used to be level one, also I lowered the walls here. You guys should let me know if you like the high walls or the low walls on this, whichever. But here is, I don't know if I have to go under here to get it. Um, so here's, oh, I shot five. Let me just bring up level one, shot one. And you can see here, it's, you know, 3.5 seconds in length, which I don't think it was before. And the camera position, if I come out of here, the camera position, this is the camera position from the other scene, which is really weird because these are supposed to be independent files, but that's the same camera movement. Um, and these are pointing to, well, you can see gate one and gate two and gate plane. These are red because they don't exist in this scene. But these should be independent of the previous scene. So I'm like, wait a second. Are they or are they not? So that bugged me. If these are global, which I don't think they are, they shouldn't be. I shouldn't see that, right? But here, I'm gonna go ahead and just mess with this for a second and maybe expand the time out to 4 seconds. I haven't really done an experiment with it, but I just noticed the update. So, all right, I'll go back. Sure, and I'll load it. Let's see if it's independent. No, see, it's 4 seconds. So these are behaving like they're global, but they shouldn't be global. Some of the weird quirks of things, I guess. Go ahead and just rerun, make sure that's going to work the way it needs to. I really should have got both of those. Only got one for some reason. But oh, look, now it's saying it's having an issue reading the property, which I didn't have before. So there's definitely something weird going on with these. Um, I think what I'm going to have to do is just create fresh ones. Kind of annoying, but it is what it is. And I think that one's failing just because of where the timing position is. Let me pull this off. Where is the... That's probably correct on the timing. And I don't know if that's an update change from 4.24 to 4.27. I just got killed. I don't recall seeing it there, but then again, that was 2 years ago. I guess I could update to Unreal 5, but I got hit by my own trap again. That's the whole point of that. Okay, that time it worked with both. And there was no error. That's bizarre. Only in Unreal. Okay, so to show you some of the other things I was working on. So if I go to my system and then I go into my game mode here. So I had to dig through this to kind of figure out what was going on because I didn't really leave a whole lot of comments. Comments are good if you want to leave notes to yourself for later, or if somebody's going to work on your project with you. And I just didn't leave any. I had a couple down here for the timer, but that's really all I left. So kind of working through this, the way it works is I'm getting access to the game instance. The game instance has a data set for the player, and each level is kept on there. That way it's a global thing. It moves around. So I check and get the current level index, and I get the current player lives. That way they carry over. Um, the player always loads in. I have some start locations. Player loads in at specified locations in my list here. Although I'm going to be moving this to a data table, and I'll show you guys how that works a little bit later. Just because this here there's a greater chance of this getting corrupted or damaged than there would be if I were to put it into a data table and then read from it. So anyway, so once I get all that, of course I check, I get my menu stuff, and my input. Menu references, by the way, is over here. These are just custom events. This just loads all of the menus that I could see. So like my pause menu, um, or whenever you win, like all those get cached basically into a list, and then I can just talk to them on game start as these get stored. Um, All right, and then of course those get set all the way over here. What am I doing? That's my creating my camera, and then I set my camera position because my camera's dynamic. I don't have it tied to the player. I have it following. And then I attach whatever components I need, blah, 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 blah. I manually set my player controller, and then I have my HUD uh, music. Same thing, I kind of cache the music early. I'll show that in a second. And I get a reference to all my crystals. Um, so here's the music. So I create the object for the sound, and I store that, whatever the current music is. And then, the laser blast sound, you have to kind of store these early. Then I can just reference them instead of recreating them every time. Um, Create sound, and then whatever other music, so game over and all that. I just basically store those into a list, and then I grab them later. Technically, it's an array, but Unreal arrays are basically lists. And then I have a function that updates my music. If I go there, it's over here. Um, it just figures out what the current track is. There's an ID for that. And then I just check to see if it's currently playing. If it's not playing, then I play it. If it is playing, then it gets ignored. Um, so that's pretty much how it was, but the things that I added in. So over here on the timer, I noticed it had the track back to where the charging sound was. So every time a crystal lit up, it plays a charging sound. Hey, how's it going? Hmm. Uh, how long have I been game deving? Quite a while. I teach game design. I've been teaching it for 9 years. And I've been doing small projects on my own in that time. But most of my time goes to teaching, so it's hard to do both. Um, but yeah, about 9 years. How long have you been into it? Hmm. But for the gate switches, so I need to keep a list of those as well. And then, uh, oh, where was I at? So down here on the timer, the way I have this going is this timer switches off. So, of course, it checks different conditions, whether or not the game's won or paused. There is a built-in, if you're using Unreal, there is a built-in game paused. Let's see, pause game. So there's a built-in check, is game paused, and there's this one. And these are actually pretty reliable because they're just built in and you can just use them. I usually don't. I usually just make my own, but you can use them. They're just fine. But anyway, this checks which timer is being timed or running. 5 years, awesome. Anything out yet? I've got Rocket Flip is on the Google Play Store. Um, anyway, this checks which timer is running. And then at the end of this, the timer, it just switches which timer to check. So down here for the charging time, when this is firing, what I noticed was, so when I originally built this, I built it for the game jam, and the theme was 10. And so there were 10 crystals, and they count down, 1 crystal per second, and they light up, and they do the firing. So I had to go back in and look and figure out how that timing was working. So you can see here, this is set to 10 seconds. And then I have the milliseconds countdown that subtracts. This is very inefficient. I think I mentioned that before, but it works. It does what I need it to do. And I think it's difficult to perceive the difference in timing, so it's fine. Um, but I had to figure out where the seconds were and how that was being counted down, and then where that was getting updated. And then that switches off to the next track, and that plays. Um, But for the actual sound effect for the laser, that actually happens, or the sound effect for um, the crystal, that actually happens on the crystal itself. So if I grab one of these guys and bring up the thing, so here's the function to call for charging the crystal, and that it just checks what crystal it is, and then we once we validate which crystal it is, we know which one to light up because they go in order. So if there's 10 crystals, there's crystal 1, crystal 2, crystal 3, and they each they have their own ID, right? So if I pick a crystal, he's got an ID. That one's 6. So should be the 6th crystal to light up. So this should be 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. So it just checks its ID with the current list, and then they fire. So what I had to do, because I had hard coded it to just do the 10, and I wanted this level to only have 6 crystals, just to make it shorter. And I want to be able to have different, crystals throughout levels and whatever not. They're always going to be paired up, but at least that's what my thought process is, because they shoot to each other. But the reason we were having the timing issue from the last time was it was always counting the 10, so I had to figure that out. So I went in and I told it to get, once we figure out how many crystals we have, I can get the length of that. And instead of, so this says it was 11 because it's array ordering. So arrays always start at 0 and then they go, however long. So if I had 10 to get back to 1, always have to add 1. So this just starts at 11. Oh yeah, got a game coming out this summer. Everything is done, but level design just stuck at that. All right, you just suck at that. Find your channel looking at design. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Uh, is it like a 3D kind of game, platformer, 2D? Are you doing it in Unreal? Are you doing it in Unity? But anyway, so once I get the length of this, um, I just add 1 to it. So if I have 6 crystals, it'll give me a length of 5, so 0 through 5, and then I just add 1 to it. I'm pretty sure this returns a length of 5. And then I add 1 back. But I can always check, actually. Uh, what can I run this off of? That'll work. Pretty sure the length returns. I'll make this red so I can see it. This is why we check things. It actually returns 6, so yeah, give me a total. So I don't actually have to add. Yeah, I do still have to add 1 because I need to count down. Yeah, so that gives me. Yeah, that's right. So it gives me 6. I have to add 1 because it was 10. I had to add 1, so that's why I did that. Always good to check yourself. That way, when it counts down, because I don't number my crystals at 0, they start at 1, so it has to be 1 different. Because then it just figures out who they are and then whatever. So if I add more crystals or add less crystals, if I make 20 crystals, it'll give me 21, it'll count back. FPS, awesome. I'd like to see some demos of it. That'd be pretty neat. Um, anyway, so we play the sound, and then we get the little chime ding and all that stuff. But I had to figure out where I was like, where is this being timed at? And so my general rule of thumb is if you have an object that does a specific thing, so in this particular case, I have a crystal that makes a sound. I would call the sound on that crystal. So that just kind of makes sense. If if a player is dealing damage to an enemy, um, the enemy should have a function for handling its damage instead of having another object directly modify another object. We would call the function on that. It's just you don't have to do it that way, but I think it's cleaner. But I had to figure out where that sound was. I was like, where did I put that sound? I was like, okay, that makes sense. Then I went through and I fixed the timing on that. Um, so now it's just really just figuring out where I want um, these cutscenes and how they're going to go because they're messing me up by being globally accessible. That bothers me. I don't remember them being globally accessible. And here's the thing. So this is where it gets weird. Um, if I go back to maps and I jump over to level 3, I'm gonna just save here. So level 3, if you look at the cinematics, I've got level 3 shot 2 or whatever. I went and I recently renamed these. Okay, yesterday these were level 1 shot 2 and whatever not. And you can see that these have their own behavior. This one is looking at what's going on in level 3. If I go back, here's level 2. Let me find level 2 shot 2. You can see this one's looking at what's going on in level 2. That seems to be pretty independent, but the one that was in level 1 to level 2, they seem to be connected somehow, and that bothers me. I'm going to take this one. I just want to test it while we're here. I'm going to move this to 6 seconds. I think we were at 5.5 here. Yeah, so I'm going to go to 6. And then I'll save it. I'm going to jump over to the next level just to see. Cinematic. It did get moved. So they're linked somehow. That messes me up a bit. Why would they do that? Also, where's that timing at? Yeah, but these have a different name. Because I change all the names. But over here, yeah, I moved it back to 5.5. And it moved back. Anyway, so that's tripping me out. Um, Gonna have to find a way of making those without them being attached. I'm gonna have to go back and read the documentation to see what I'm doing wrong. It does appear to be sequencer hell, yeah. Have you run into this before? It might be worth just going to Unreal 5. I think they redid how this works. Uh, I'm on level 2. Ugh, get out of there. We've got a little dog. Um, she likes to get into nooks and crannies. Yeah, camera's off. Oh, look, everybody sees you. I had to check, but it should be on. What do you mean? So like set up because it should be an independent camera for each one, but maybe I didn't do that. Maybe you're right. Maybe I did um one camera. I gotta move the dog. She's lobstering behind all the equipment. Okay. Hmm. So yeah, I'm this is where I'm stuck. I'll have to tinker with it. I don't know. Let's try to what if I make just a random new sequence? What am I on level two? Let me make a new one. Um Actually, let me check to see if I have them saved somewhere. That would probably help me. Cinematics, level one shots. Okay. So that makes more sense because it looks like I have them saved like this. And if that's the case, then that makes more sense because then I'm grabbing from here. Okay. So I've got level one shots, level two shots. Let me make one for level three. Ugh, here you. It's two shot one. What level am I in? That's gonna take me a bit to reorganize this stuff. Because it's weird, because I'm reading here, level one through, level one, shot one through seven, but I only see four here, and I see these here. Where, where is this stored? So when I grab shot seven, it's pointing to level one, shot four. Probably because I'm using the same camera movement to not, so that I didn't have to rewrite a camera to do the same movement multiple times. I probably just referenced that. No, I'm not using a level blueprint. Um, if I open that up, you can see it's empty. I'm not using one. All right, so how do I separate these without having to redo these shots? Let me go to map. Where's my map 3? But here's the other bit of trouble. Um, I'm probably going to do a couple more maps in between here. So, like whatever is currently level 1, um, and what is currently level 2 is probably not going to stay that way. So I'm going to most likely shuffle them around. So the naming convention is going to get screwy. Okay, so on this one, if I grab my cinematic, where are you at? Let's go to my list here. So that one's looking at level 2 shot 1, level 2 shot 2, and that's on level 3. Okay. It's slowly starting to make sense, but I think it's going to take me a minute to really sort out how I'm going to do these. So Tony, have you been in sequencer hell? What assets did I take from the Egyptian temple? Oh, that's interesting. Okay, I stole the beam data from that. Sorry, I was off on a tangent. I do that a lot. Okay. Well, let's see what shot 4 is doing. See a camera way out here. It's just looking into the void. That's weird. And I'll see those just hanging out, but it said they were. I don't remember what the master sequencer does. I'll have to go read the documentation. Oh, it's in the right spot. That's good. All right, what do I want? I want to add a camera track. Uh, Man, I don't remember how to use this stuff. Create a camera. Okay. I think I want my camera to be here. Okay, I'll have to do that. I remember looking at an old video where they were setting up the rail system inside of Unreal 5, I think when it first came out, but I haven't really experimented with it. Awesome, thank you. Um, I think we're gonna go to breakfast here pretty soon, so I'm gonna hop off. I appreciate you hanging out with me. I'm gonna save what I've got here and then sort out this mess, and then I'll jump back on and maybe I'll have something more you know, laid out. But yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate it. All right. You go ahead.